My name is Jake Miller. I'm one of the owners and one of the brewers at Heirloom Rustic Ales, and this is the What the Ale Beer of the Week. Plague Doctor is the name of the beer. It's a what we dub a French petite lager. It comes in at 2.9%, which is shockingly low in today's standards. But kind of the unique thing that we add to this beer is we foraged around 27 pounds of dandelion flowers, and we add that in the beer that makes kind of like a dandelion tea, and it adds a really cool floral element to the beer. But on top of that, we also naturally carbonate the beer. So we can it, and then it actually ferments a second time in the can to create the carbonation, which allows us to get a really high carbonation level, similar to like a Topo Chico drink or something like that, which adds a lot of structure and texture to a really low alcohol beer to try to make it something a little more interesting for folks that aren't used to drinking something this sessionable. European beers for a long time, before hops were so readily available, would throw a lot of things like herbs and flowers in their beers just to add a preservative, add flavors, those kinds of things. Dandelions are one that's been really common for a long time, and I remember reading about that and thinking that that would be a really cool Oklahoma thing to do. And then I saw another brewer in Vermont that actually organized their entire community to pick with him to make sure that they get enough, and I thought that was also cool. So we've been doing that now for 3 years. This is the third vintage of this beer. Definitely the one I'm most excited about, just because we've foraged more than we ever have. This is the What the Ale Beer of the Week, and it releases tomorrow, so see you there. So we started, it'll be 5 years ago in November. Myself and Melissa French are the owners. So we are located on the original Route 66, and the building is, it used to serve as an auto body shop on the original Route 66. There hadn't been anything in it for a few years when we took over, so we had to do quite a bit of work, but that's kind of the cool thing about these old cinder block buildings is they're gonna stick around forever, so it was a pretty easy remodel, all things considered. One of the more interesting stories for sure was we got on the phone with an old private investigator, and he was asking us where we were located, and we told him, and he said, "Oh, I know all about that building." And I guess, I don't know, it was probably like 10 or 12 years ago, had investigated a double homicide that had happened inside our building. So not too keen on naming any beers after it or anything, but kind of an interesting piece of history for sure that happened in here. Before starting Heirloom, I had brewed for quite a few years at different places, Oregon, originally with Prairie Artisan Ales, and also in Florida with St. Somewhere. And had predominantly done either wood and barrel-aged beers or saisons. And somewhere along the way, I think I was fishing and drinking, weirdly enough, I think it was like a PBR or a Busch, something really, watered down and really chill. And realized how much I drank those kinds of beers and how much those beers really meant to me, because when you're fishing for 10 hours, you need to have something that's a little more sessionable, a little easier going. And started kind of going down this road of seeking out lagers. And this is probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And in Oregon, some of the best lager brewers in the country live there. And so I would kind of visit their spots during brew days after I had finished mine, and started talking to different brewmasters there that had been brewing lager for, a decade or more, and really kind of switched gears entirely. And once Heirloom kind of got a little closer to opening, realized that I was going to mostly focus on those kinds of beers. And It's been cool to have people drink those beers and engage with those beers. That was definitely when we started something no one was doing other than Marshall around here, and it's been really cool to see the reception of that and just the growth of lager here. Now everybody makes several of them, and it's been really fun to see that kind of grow here in this community.